Today we're
Hi.
talking to one of our previous UX Philippines volunteers, Kringle. Kringle, can you tell us a bit about yourself, your full name, and what you're doing right now? What do you do?
Oh, full name. I don't think a lot of people know me sa full name ko.
Yeah,
So, that's my
actually,
real name.
I didn't know your full name before.
Uh,
Kringle's your
my
name?
real name is Angela Christine Garcia. Kringle. Hi, my name is Kringle. So, I'm currently in Japan. Welcome to Tokyo. Konnichiwa. So,
Konnichiwa.
ayan. Yeah. And currently working sa Asahi Group Holdings.
Right.
And para akong
What do you do
UX
there, if I may
designer
ask?
of one. Well, official
You are
title
a
is like deputy manager of IT and transformation, but the actual work is basically I'm the only UX designer or UX person in the company. So, nafe-feel ko yung challenges of the people na sila lang talaga yung mag-isa because it's a different world entirely and it's kind of challenging to, encourage and educate people with the mindset of really putting users at the forefront and not just the business need. So, but
yeah.
it's
That
been
that
interesting
is
so
awesome.
far.
That is awesome because that's exactly one of the topics that we can talk about. So
Okay, okay.
you were
Ay,
a
sorry.
volunteer in UX Philippines
Yes.
before. Can you share
Yes.
a time when you volunteered in UX Philippines and what was it like and what were your roles and responsibilities?
I feel like para akong accidental volunteer, if you will, kasi attendee lang talaga ako dati. So, because to be fair, I mean, ang daming seminars, ang daming talks nun that was really helpful to me kasi during that time, baguhan pa lang ako sa UX. Like, ang daming parts na, am I doing the right thing? I'm not sure. So, the talks really helped a lot. But I think because kay Aldrich ako pinaka na-connect even at the very beginning when it comes to mentorship at least there was a time when when UXPH was trying to hold the conference. Because meron akong events management background when I was doing, yung mga org sa college. Org kasi ako. So, yun. So, I was helping out in the event. And then eventually, it's like, oh, would you want to be a volunteer long term? Sure. So, yun. So, I was helping out sa volunteer management, like, and even sa events management part when it comes to okay how can we set things up and how can we recruit more people so yeah it was a pretty fun time although admittedly shucks hindi ko alam kay cut mo or hindi but I could have done more I know but I feel like medyo nalunod din ako with actual work so medyo parang okay balancing was tough for me but it was still a very enriching experience so
Yeah,
yeah
that's a common sentiment amongst the volunteers, right? Balancing volunteer work time in actual work. So, can you talking about that work? Can you share how your career has evolved since you're in your volunteer days?
well I think nung time when I was still volunteering, I forgot na kung interaction designer ako noon or experience architect. But I feel like I had to let go the volunteer side nga because work really picked up. So I think by then, from an experienced architect, I eventually became like a UX lead, like one of the leads dun sa team namin nun. I was focusing on the B2B side of the business during that time. So interesting siya because we're just like a small group of three people in the B2B side. And then because most of the resources ng CX team was for the B2C or dun sa consumer side. So, parang tatlo lang kami. Initially, parang yung setup niya was like, experienced architect, may design researcher, tapos meron ako interaction designer. So, we're the triumvirate of the B2B. But eventually, it became like, because we were really focusing on service design. So, pretty much everyone was being trained to become a service designer. And I think even when I became a lead for a certain time, parang yun din yung focus area for everyone to be upskilled and empowered to really have a wider view and application of the UX principles and how we can make, you know, a good experience across all the touch points. So,
Right.
yun. So, since then, ano ba? So, nag-MBA ako. Um, tapos, kaya ako
Nice.
napunta dito sa Japan. What's up?
Yes.
So, ayun.
Whoa.
Yes.
So, yeah, now you're in Japan, starting from your
I know.
UX Philippines days.
I know.
You took your
Layo, di ba?
MBA, you
Yeah.
decided to take a chance and applied to your learning, and now you're applying your learnings now outside of the Philippines. And I think
Yes.
that's inspirational to a lot of Filip people. So what were the tell me about the skills that you developed throughout your experiences, and how was your growth like?
Oh, what a question.
What
Ano
are
ba?
the main skills that you think you developed?
Develop. I feel like one of the biggest things that I developed along the career was really confidence. Because I feel like yun yung main thing. Because because I career transitioner ako, di ba? Ang daming points na parang, tama ba to? Hindi. Hindi ko alam eh. So, a part of it was really just growing more confident, even if I didn't really have all of the information that I would have wanted. But it's really leaning towards like, hindi man, everything is uncertain naman eh. The way that you can be certain is to research more and to test. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. So, parang based on what I've seen from the past, based on even just the idea of how can we make things better for the user overall, parang eventually that built up my confidence na I can be more assertive. Woo! Hindi kasi ako assertive na tao. To be more assertive when it comes to sharing. For example, when talking to business stakeholders na, hindi, dapat ganito siya. Or like, we can't just decide on things na ganito lang. We need to test it out to see if people would actually want this kind of product or not, or this kind of feature. Because, business would tend to, ito yung priorities namin. So, yun. So, eventually, that got built up. But also, I think another one is really negotiating or like knowing what to really push with business stakeholders. Kasi obviously there are some fights you really will lose. There are things na gusto talaga nila, wala tayong magagawa doon. But parang finding a space where you can really ensure that the voice of the customer will be heard and that it will be considered. So I think finding those spaces. I guess kasi
Those are
parang I've been in a place na medyo it's a good place. I really love it, to be honest. I learned a lot. But at the end of the day, the politics, because there are lots of people involved, is there. So it's like how to navigate through the different stakeholders, through the politics and all that, and showing that you're a credible person that they can listen to for the benefit of the business and the project.
those are really a lot of those two, confidence and then negotiation skills. Those are two things that I noticed a lot of. Even the new volunteers are probably struggling with. I in my own observation lang. So nice, nice. So given that, so you're starting to talk about some of the challenges that you've encountered. Can you tell us that you can share about your own personal uh, challenges and triumphs, and maybe your personal milestones? What do you think are your personal milestones?
Well, personal milestones, I guess, is one, kasi matagal ko ng dream na mag-aral sa ibang bansa. I kind of gave it up, to be honest. Like, as in ever since after college, there's always this dream of, oh, I want to study, I want to work in another country just to try it out. Just to see like, oh, as a Filipino, can I really compete para ganyan, with other internationals? So, the fact that I'm here right now is like a really big answered prayer, to be honest. And I know na it's not just because of my skills. A lot of people help. Sorry, really just si God really helped then when it comes to how things came to be. But yeah, so that's a really big milestone for me. And I don't know how long I'll be in here in Japan at least, because obviously can always go back to the Philippines. But it did open a lot of doors of opportunities because now I'm working here. Challenges. Yeah, I
Challenges.
guess the one of the biggest challenges for me was transitioning from an interaction designer to becoming an experienced architect. Ano ba yung difference ng dalawa? Si interaction, actual design execution, yung needs a more strategic thinking na. Because you're thinking about how will this affect the business as a whole. It's not as detailed anymore as to what element we should place in this page or ganyan, but it's like an overall, like how can we improve the customer journey as a whole. That took a while for me to really grasp because my thinking was very different. But very helpful yung yung mga coworkers ko nun in really being patient with me. Sorry, malaki part yung patience. And also really teaching me in terms of how to go about these things, how to think of Kasi because as an experienced architect, you'll be talking with a lot of business stakeholders. It's often talked about in UX circles, yung having a seat in
The
like the
table.
meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a seat at the table. So now you're there, but like, what the heck do I do here? It took a while because, of course, part of it was also building my credibility with the people I'm working with outside of my of the own customer experience design team. But aside from that, it's also knowing what to say, when to say it, knowing when to push, how to push it, understanding the needs of the business and the people that you're talking to. So you can also position your recommendations to fit what they would need. So that took a while, to be honest. Pero it was very rewarding, I feel, when I got to grasp it better. Not to say na sobrang gamay ko na siya ngayon, but at least I have a better grasp compared to how it was before. And to be honest, yun din yung nag-push sa akin to get the MBA because I felt like if I'll be serving, if you will, if I'll be working with a lot of business stakeholders na from VP level pataas, I need to know what they care about. I need to know
Correct.
and understand why are they doing the things that they're doing. So for me, it's like the fast track, well, sort of fast track way. I don't know if that was fast enough, was the MBA because it allowed me to have a big understanding or like a wider understanding, a deeper understanding of how the business works as a whole. Not to say naman that everyone should take an MBA. It was helpful for me, but find like what it is that you actually need. But for me specifically, that opened my eyes when it comes to the interplay of the different departments and how me with my UX thinking can help navigate through that. So yun. So I feel like nagagamit ko naman siya ngayon when it comes to what I'm doing now. So that helps. Yun.
So tell us a bit more about that. I think a lot of people would like to hear more about what was that journey like from you were a UX, an experienced designer here in Manila, Philippines, and then what made you trigger that decision to go into, okay, it's something I'm dreaming of to study abroad. I'm going to try it out. And was
Mhm.
the feeling like? How did you manage it with all the cost and everything?
Oh my God.
Di ba? It's a
Shit, the
common
cost.
question, I think, a lot of people who want to study abroad.
Ano ba? Shucks, the cost was large, to be honest. And it really ate up a lot of my savings. But very thankful ako with my school. Yes, promo but thankful ako kasi meron siyang 50% discount for full-time students. And that's a large thing. Most scholarships that I've seen from schools are ano ba, mga 10%, 15%. Of course, there
Correct.
are other scholarships that are full scholarships like the Erasmus or like the
Yeah.
Fulbright, the Chevening. But
Fulbright
how many
fellowship. Yeah.
people are applying for that? It's like,
Yeah.
it's sobrang pili nung pwede nilang kunin. So the fact that this school offers 50% to a large number of people who's applying to them, and then what I only had to do was write a couple of essays to show that, hey, I'm deserving of the scholarship. So parang, I was super thankful that they gave it to me. So, yung setup kasi niya was 50% scholarship and then the remaining 50%, you could have it as a student loan. So technically, what I only had to pay was the admission fee, which is still big kasi nasa 100,000-ish siya. But it's definitely much smaller than the full tuition. So of course, mahal, obviously it's Japan. So mahal ang Japan. As much as
Yeah.
mababa ang exchange rate namin ngayon. But mahal pa rin siya. So yeah, that part of it was funded really by my savings kasi I think I was quite adamant not to get money
See.
from my parents as much as I can. And then nag-part-time work din ako dito. So I was a game tester for a while. That was pretty fun. So
Sounds
yun.
fun. Okay.
Yeah,
So
ano ba?
basically,
But
you saved up a lot of money, and then
yeah,
you used your money to study. You took a risk. You took a
pretty
gamble.
much. Oh, pero helpful siya
Nice,
kasi
nice.
it really widens your mind to work with people from different places and not just the Philippines. So that was very interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. So now, based on your experiences, what advice would you give to individuals who are number one, newbies in UX, and number two, career shifters
Uh-huh.
like you, you're a career shifter. So what advice would you give
Yeah.
to newbies and career shifters?
Advice. Ano ba? Look for people you're comfortable with that you can ask any kind of question. Kasi alam ko to a large part, when, especially when I was starting, medyo ang dami kong tanong nun kay Aldrich eh. Tama ba to? Or
Mhm.
ito ba yung ginagawa? Hindi ko alam. So, I was in a totally different industry, in a totally different type of occupation. So, and then entering into UX. So, while the design background was kind of there, iba yung sa UX pa rin eh. Because a large part of it is really thinking about how the users will receive and will use whatever product it is that you're making. So, dami kong questions nun. So, I was thankful ako kay Aldrich. Shout out.
Oh, Aldrich is one of our
He,
founders in UX Philippines, one of our core
yeah,
leads that are still doing it up to now.
just busy din siya for sure sa
Yeah.
kanyang startup. But it wasn't just Aldrich eh. Ang daming kung mga natanungan nun, like, well, ikaw kasama ka dun, Ellie. Like, sina Iya, sina Pierre, sina Riel, na parang, because I was a total newbie. Like, even yung point na parang, as a starting person, how much ba dapat yung salary? Kasi hindi ko alam eh. So, is this a good salary? Is this a bad salary? I have no
Yeah.
idea. So, a lot of it was relying on people and not just being shy on asking. I know that may be challenging for people. Kasi, hello, kahit extrovert ako, hirap din ako minsan to just ask. So, just find people that you can be comfy with to ask these kinds of questions. Kasi most people that I've seen sa UX are quite helpful. I don't think I've seen someone na na nag-gate na parang, hindi mo dapat malaman. Parang ganun.
Correct, correct.
A lot of people are really helpful when it comes to how you can really transition. But then again, it
Nice.
is challenging to transition no matter, ano ba? Oh, challenging pa rin siya. Dadaanan mo rin pa rin talaga yung process na yun. But if you really push through with it, it is rewarding. And especially kung gusto mo talaga. So, yeah.
So really look
Nare-remind ako yung
for
mga
the
pinagdaanan
right
ko
people
nun.
to ask.
Medyo madami din siya. Ano
I
pa ba?
remember how you
Yeah.
were at the start and then how you really started to become more confident later on. Ikaw na yung nag-argue eh.
Una parang tahimik lang ako, nanonood lang ako. Parang, tama ba to? So, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, parang,
All right.
oh, I think one of the things na thankful ako, sorry, yung what I like about UX is that no matter what your background is, you can find a spot there. Kasi yung background ko was, I was from the financial services industry. I had experience in HR, had experience in sales training. Anong kinalaman nun sa tech? Wala. But hindi nasayang yung experiences from before because whatever learnings you picked up from there will eventually be useful in UX, especially when it comes to dealing with people. So, yun. So, basta just find someone you can attach yourself to and just ask. And marami namang, I think, mas marami ng avenues right now,
Yeah.
di ba? Like sa ADP list, sa UXPH, of course, and even people from your own company. Or if hindi ka pa UX designer right now, just find people you can attach yourself to. It helps a lot.
Right. Nice. Nice advice. So let's now talk about the future. What does the future
Oh,
look like? What do you think is the outlook of UX in the future? And what would be the most
ah.
important things that UX people should be ready for or be ready to learn?
Well, I feel like napaka-generic ng answer ko. Or napaka-expected. I think would be the better term. Because obviously, AI is getting bigger and bigger. And I don't think we can stop it no matter how many people would want to set up guardrails. So, not to say that I think AI will replace UX designers. It's more of, as UX designers, like, how can we augment our skills? How can we, I guess, make our workflow more efficient through the use of AI. Not to depend everything with that. Kasi I think yun yung medyo danger. To be honest, dun ako medyo scared with how people are using AI na parang magde-depend na lang sila lahat dun. Not really think
Correct.
anymore. But given like your expertise, given what you know based on from what industry you're a part of or as you're learning UX, like how can you use these tools to make yourself a better contributor to whatever organization you're part of. So, ano pa ba? Future of UX? I feel like, for me kasi parang, okay. I think, siguro not just, siguro just be familiar with these kinds of technologies. How can you use UX there? But also not just limit yourself to tech interfaces, but also think like, oh, how can you use UX, for example, when it comes to making services or like even creating events? Kasi very thinking of the people who's going to use it. And that applies to so many areas. So if you want to continue to be relevant, that's, I feel like, parang ang dami mong magagamit from there, which I don't think that AI can necessarily just do. At least right now. Let's see in the future because we don't know. So yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Kringle, for all
Thank
your
you.
insights and experience. Any
I
last
hope that
words
was
for our
helpful.
career transitioners and UX newbies?
Career transitioners. The process may be long, but kaya niyo yan. it's I mean, a lot of people have transitioned to UX from different backgrounds. So if parang, but I feel like before really entering it, make sure that you really want it. Kasi marami ka talagang pagdadaanan na mahirap. So if this is really what you decide to do, then go for it. Kasi maraming products na kailangan ayusin sa mundo.
All right. Thank you, Kringle. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Hope that was helpful.